The captain deliberately threw a container full of goods into the sea. Then he tossed the second and third containers, until all the containers sank to the bottom of the sea. However, they then abandoned the ship. They left by a small boat. The unmanned cargo ship charged toward the crowd on the beach like a runaway horse. Fortunately, the ship eventually stopped because it ran aground. This lost cargo ship quickly attracted the attention of the police. Sheriff Mike arrived at the grounding site immediately, but what confused him was that there was no one aboard the ship. Not even any cargo was left. It had disappeared like a ghost at sea. What they didn't know was that John and his team were currently 5 miles away from here, retrieving the containers that had sunk to the seabed. Inside them were containers full of incredibly valuable counterfeit money. Without anyone noticing, they loaded the containers and set off. In reality, this was part of John's plan. He originally planned to use this ship to safely transport 1.2 trillion in counterfeit money back to India. However, things suddenly changed. Just as they were about to reach the port, John received a call from his partner. He was told that there were large numbers of police officers at the port checking. Once the ship docked, it would be like walking straight into a trap. In a panic, John rushed to find the captain, hoping to quickly change course. Unfortunately, the ship didn't have enough fuel to return. Plus, it was already in deep waters. Even if they wanted to stop the ship, they couldn't. In desperation, the captain finally thought of a do-or-die solution. Although it was a bumpy process, luckily they succeeded in the end. They managed to get the 1.2 trillion in counterfeit money back to India. John and his brother, who once worried about their livelihood, were now confused about how to spend all the money. John not only bought the most luxurious car, but also bought 2 neighboring mansions in the wealthy district of Mumbai. Of course, having a secretary who speaks English was a must to enhance the company's image, so no one would suspect the money's origin. John also became more confident because of his wealth. His relationship with Anna also began to heat up. 2 characters who were initially on opposite sides ended up falling in love with each other. Anna would never expect that the suspect she had been hunting down for so long was now lying beside her. Perhaps out of love, or perhaps guilt deep inside. While she was asleep, John secretly uninstalled the eavesdropping software from Anna's phone. This decision directly put John in danger. In the following period, John and Tommy enjoyed the pleasures that wealth brought. But wealth obtained through illicit means was bound to not last long. They were now facing a very real problem. Although the counterfeit money looked almost identical to real money, if they didn't exchange it for real money before the police found out, then these bills would just be a pile of worthless paper. Fortunately, Mansoor had been running an underground distribution network for years. Whether in bustling bars or busy construction sites, they had distribution channels wherever cash flowed. However, even though John was trying his best to move the money, after months, the circulation of the counterfeit money was still less than 10%. Mansoor couldn't wait any longer. He wanted results. But John's problems went beyond this. Anna finally found an important clue in her investigation. She realized that the counterfeit 500 bills she had found earlier in the restaurant, and the 2000 denomination counterfeit bills that were now circulating, came from the same person. These 2 counterfeit bills were meticulously crafted, with consistent strokes. Every artist has their own signature, and this counterfeiter left his mark on them. Following this clue, Anna traced further, discovering that most of the counterfeit 500 bills had circulated among the general public, banks, and ATMs. However, there was still a batch of counterfeit bills with special origins. During a raid, the Indian Central Bureau of Investigation seized over 200 million rupees worth of counterfeit money from a legislator's home.
All sandwich notes.
20 crores.
Yeah.
For this amount, he must have dealt directly with the artist. Who's the MLA?
Kesri Bhai Doshi, sir.
In fact, these 2 pages of fake rupees were directly related to John and his brother. They had previously done a deal with this legislator through the mafia to get this batch of counterfeit bills. But unexpectedly, this deal ended up becoming a crucial lead for the police. Mike and his team tracked down the legislator. He was waiting in his luxurious villa. At first, the legislator looked down on Mike and mocked him with his words. But Mike didn't back down. He stood his ground.
When is your next hearing? I heard the CBI is going to fast-track your case. You'll help me find the artist? I'll make the CBI go away.
The legislator finally dared not delay any longer. He immediately contacted the mafia boss and ultimately passed on the information about the 1 billion rupees counterfeit bill deal to John. At this time, John was desperately trying to figure out what to do with the remaining counterfeit money. Seeing this opportunity, he immediately agreed. However, the legislator made a special request. The deal must be personally delivered by John and Tommy. John didn't think too much about it, since they had delivered the goods themselves in previous deals. In the end, the meeting point was set in the mall parking garage. However, John and his brother didn't know that. Mike had already set up a trap in advance. He was waiting in every corner of the garage. Once they showed up, the police would strike immediately.